One of the most important tools in a gamer's arsenal is a gaming mouse. Now, with hundreds of named brands out there making thousands of different mouse models, picking a gaming mouse in 2023 has become quite the dilemma. I'm Abdi, you're watching Candid.Technology, and in this video, we're reviewing the Logitech G502X Plus, Logitech's latest and greatest, and the latest mouse in the G502 series. So when you get the mouse, it comes in this box. There are three variants available. There is the regular G502X, which is the wired version, and then there is a G502X wireless, and then there's a G502X Plus. The only difference between the wireless and the Plus version is the presence of RGB lights. More on that later. So for now, inside the box you get the mouse itself. Comes in two colors, black and white, and the white in my opinion looks gorgeous. So we'll put the mouse aside. Inside the box you also have your Lightspeed receiver. This is the part that you plug in into your computer for the mouse to work, and we have a special thumb button cover. So the special thing about this mouse is that you see this thumb button right here. This thumb button has been causing a lot of problems for everyone who's using this mouse or the other mice in the G402 or the G502 series, that people end up accidentally hitting it by accident because it's right there when you grip the mouse. So with this mouse, Logitech has provided you the option of either flipping the mouse button. It's magnetic, comes right off. So you can either have it like that, or you can completely plug the button like this. So you can't hit it by accident. You lose a button, sure, but it's better than accidentally swapping your SMG for your grenades in the middle of a match. So there's that. Let me just get this out and put the thumb button back in place. It's a little finicky to go in. Yeah, there we go. So other than this, we get a USB cable for charging and for using it over a wired connection if you prefer, and we have a Logitech sticker, some paperwork, and a Lightspeed adapter. Now it isn't really required, but it's best if you have the Lightspeed receiver and the mouse in line of sight of each other, so you can just plug it in the back of your computer, extend it with the USB-C cable or the provided cable in the box. You just plug it in like that. You plug this at the back of your computer and you plug your Lightspeed receiver here, and that's it. But we won't be needing this today, so let's put that back, and that's about everything that comes in the box. As you can see, this mouse follows the very familiar design language of the G402 and the G502 series. You still have your thumb button, the two side buttons, and the two buttons right on the left of the left click button. The scroll wheel can go left and right, up and down, and has a free rotating mechanism, as you can see. Has quite the ring to it. But one thing I found out is that some people, especially when the mouse is new, can find a ratcheted mode on this, which sounds, in my opinion, great, by the way. Some people can find this ratcheted mode a bit too tight when the mouse is new, and the free flying mode a bit too loose. But as you use the mouse, these things will wear out and kind of get in place, so that's not really a concern. Other than that, you have a mode switching button right on the top. So this mouse supports up to 5 profiles that you can just build in the Logitech Gaming Hub and store on the mouse itself, and these include RGB effects. So you can set it up once and then forget about it and not have to worry about having to switch between different profiles and installing LG Hub everywhere. When we come to the bottom of the mouse, there is a place to keep your receiver here so that you don't lose it. It rattles around a little bit in the mouse, but other than that, it's not really going to be a problem. The more important thing is that you don't lose your receiver. This mouse is also compatible with Logitech's PowerPlay mousepad, which means when you get the PowerPlay mousepad, which is another $119–120, you change this plug with the one provided in the box, put it here, it's magnetic, and the mouse will charge wirelessly as long as it's on the mousepad, which basically solves all your charging issues. But other than that, the mouse feels great in the hand. It fits your hand like a glove. The only gripe is here that it's a very right-handed design, so you can't really use it with your left hand even if you wanted to. I mean, I guess you could, but I don't really see how you would hit all those buttons. It would feel very uncomfortable in the hand. But all the buttons are really great to hit, very clicky, very tactile feedback. And Logitech is using their optical mechanical switches in this mouse. This is the first time Logitech has done something like this, and it is supposed to make a great difference in the longevity of the mouse, because the old Ortemu switches that a lot of gaming mice use often tend to start having phantom clicks or double click issues, and that's something you should not see here. Other than that, the mouse is powered by Logitech's Hero sensor, which can go up to 25,600 DPI, and while I'm 100% sure that you're not going to use that DPI slider to its best, to its 100%. I mean, who even uses 25,600 DPI? That's a lot of DPI. I was using this on 1600 DPI and it worked just fine for me. You can of course switch DPIs based on what game or what application you're playing, all thanks to the Logitech G502 software. We'll get into that a little bit later. But other than that, in terms of overall feel, build quality, you get what you paid for. This is an expensive mouse, and it feels good, premium and comfortable in the hand. A small note about the grips though. The mouse kind of invites you to use it in this palm grip, which is great for comfort when you're using it for longer sessions, but if you're gaming, you might want to hold it in the claw grip. That just makes the mouse a little bit more tactical to move around, and it is on the heavier side when it comes to mice. The wired version of this mouse, the Logitech G502X, is the lightest in the series at, I guess, 83 grams, but the G502X wireless and the G502X Plus add weight because of the presence of the power play and the light speed circuitry. Other than that, the tracking is also exceptional. I was not using this mouse on a special mousepad or something like this, and it worked flawlessly all the time. No missed connections, nothing of the sort, no lags or drops, and it has even a good lift-off distance. So when you are moving the mouse quickly and you end up lifting it off the mat, it will still track your cursor, so that's not an issue that you need to worry about. So in terms of connectivity, you can use this mouse in either a wired mode or a wireless mode. Wired mode obviously works with the included cable or just about any Type-C cable that you want to use. I wouldn't recommend it, but since the mouse is Type-C, finally, you can use it with just about any cable. For the wireless connection, we have the G502X receiver, which plugs into your computer, and then you just flip the mouse on and use it without any problems. Logitech claims that this is an updated version of Lightspeed, which is 68% faster than the previous generations, while we don't really have, Logitech doesn't really give you any numbers to quantify that. In terms of real world usage experience, there are no drops, lags or any sort of gripes whatsoever when it comes to the connection. The mouse stays there, the mouse stays connected, and you can just vacate anytime you want with just pressing or moving the mouse or pressing a button, and it connects immediately. A small note on that though, when you're using it in wireless mode, the mouse automatically kind of goes into this power saving mode roughly 10 minutes of inactivity later, and when you move the mouse around, when you wake it up, it kind of takes a second for your activated profile to kick in. So let's say the default DPI on this mouse is 800 DPI and you've set it to 1600 or 1800. So when you move the mouse, it'll take a second for that profile to kick in, your DPI to go higher. So if you are in the habit of just sitting at your desk and just going away, you may have to give it a second, but other than that, the connectivity is great. Okay, now while the mouse works amazingly by itself, it really comes to life when you use it alongside the G502 software provided by Logitech. You can build your own custom profiles, you can add RGB customizations to those profiles, you can change just about what every button does on this mouse, and trust me, when you start assigning buttons to this mouse, you'll realize that it has way too many buttons. Like, if you need more buttons than this, then you should really consider getting an MMO or RPG mice that have entire numpads on the side of them. But for any regular game or like FPSs or AAA titles or even productivity uses, this mouse has more than enough buttons for you. So when you hop into G502, which now has a much better interface and works very well, you can customize the key bindings, you can customize macros, and you can even control your light sync RGB effects, which are great, by the way. It has a screen sampler, it has an audio visualizer, color wave, and you can make even your own custom animations and store them on the mouse itself, so you don't need the G502 software everywhere you go. Other than that, the G502 software also shows you the mouse's power consumption at any time, so how much the mouse firmware is using, how much the polling rate is using. So this can go up to 1000 Hz on wireless, and obviously if you use it at 1000 Hz polling rate, the mouse will consume more battery. And then there is the RGB, which consumes a chunk of your battery. Now I want to take a second to address the RGB and the battery life on this mouse. Logitech claims that with the RGB off, you should get around 130 hours of battery life. When you turn the RGB on, that drops down to roughly 35 hours. That is a huge drop in battery life for the 9 addressable RGB lights that you get on this mouse. Now don't get me wrong, the RGB effects and the RGB lighting on this mouse is done really tastefully. The lights are really bright, and if I just turn it on here you can see even in studio lighting the mouse, you can still see the RGB kick in and the pulse wave effect going from left and right. And to be fair to Logitech, they have built in sort of battery optimizations in the software, so the mouse automatically turns off the RGB on one side when you're moving it to save battery life. It can also switch to a different effect after you leave it inactive for about a set period of time, and can turn off the effect 10 minutes later to save on your battery life. And with those optimizations and some tweaking around the settings, I was able to get around 72 hours of battery life on this, so you can extend it by up to a week even with the RGB on. But here's the thing, the G502X wireless is the exact same mouse minus the RGB and costs $20 less at $129. And unless you're willing to shell out that extra $20 on the RGB, I think that is a better value. Of course, if you don't really care about wireless, you can just go for the wired version of the same mouse, which is once again identical in terms of specs, just doesn't have RGB and wireless, and it will run you around $80. So if you're looking for the absolute cheapest mouse in this range, the 502X will get the job done. If you need wireless connectivity and you want to save a buck, get the G502X wireless. But if you want the absolute coolest, most gorgeous looking mouse that Logitech has to offer, in my opinion right now, the G502X Plus is the mouse to go for. Yes, that RGB $20 premium can eat into your battery life, but if you're at that price point of $159 and you're already investing that much into a mouse, you know what kind of optimizations and customizations you'll be implementing, and you will be much better off setting up the mouse yourself and having the right settings in place to get the most out of your device. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and tell us in the comments below if you want to see more content like this. If you want to know more about tech, visit our website, Candid.Technology, follow us on social media, follow me on Instagram or Twitter, and we'll see you in the next video.